call your attention to the publication of the Open Meetings Act here in the council chambers. If you would please join me in rising for first a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Beth, roll call, please.
Branquist.
Here.
Langy.
Here.
Merrill.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
Murin.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Faust.
Here.
File.
Here.
Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
And with that, approval of the full agenda.
So moved. Second.
And please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
All right, with that, we'll move to item number 22 on the agenda, special presentations. A proclamation for the month of March 2017 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Whereas our community is home to individuals and families adversely affected by problem gambling, and compulsive gambling is often hidden from family members, social services, and mental health professionals. And compulsive gambling often occurs in combination with other disorders such as chemical dependency and depression. And it is important to raise awareness of the warning signs of compulsive gamblers and connect them with professional help. Now, therefore, I, Josh Moaning, Mayor of the City of Norfolk, by the power vested in me, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2017 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month and urge citizens to learn more about the consequences of problem gambling. Is there anyone here tonight to receive the proclamation? Doesn't look. Okay. So we'll move to number 23, presentation of process to sell property located at 1004 Koenigstein Avenue. I think we hear from Lyle on this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a quick plug for some property sale that we have going on at 1004 Koenigstein Avenue. There's a brief history of what happened. On April 9th of 2014, there was a daytime fire that took place there. I was actually on one of the first engines in response to it. My good friend Bob Nelson was the guy in charge. The property owner decided that they didn't want to fix it up, repair. There was significant damage to the building. Nobody was hurt. The city ended up taking possession of it. We demoed it in September of that year through Clint's office and inspectors. All the title work and everything has been taken care of. January, so you gave us authorization to move forward with the sale, of which I am shortly thereafter made this packet of information. I'll briefly go over it with you and hopefully the folks at home and anybody in the crowd that's interested. 10 Koenigstein Avenue is a lot of a little over 6,000 square feet. According to the county assessor, it's 6,076. Has a water line out front and a sewer line on 11th Street that goes north and south. In this packet, there's all the information I'm talking about, a zoning map. It's zoned R2 for that specific parcel and kind of the area, but that falls into the R2 area. Has the water line maps and the sewer line maps. We're going to have a sealed bid opening on March 9th, the admin building, March 9th, Thursday, March 9th at 3:30 for whoever wants to come and partake. If somebody can't attend, they can make arrangements with me 24 hours in advance in case somebody is working on shift or out of town or whatever. We don't want to exclude them, but we also don't want it to happen at the last second. So they can reach me and we'll make their arrangements. Like to have the successful bidder put 10% down of their offer the day of. We'll have a purchase agreement ready to go for them. There will be, just like with the sale of all city property, there will be a remonstrance period of 60 to 90 days, 70 to 90 days approximately. We as a city will pay for about half, we'll pay for half the closing costs and up to half for the title insurance. We've sent this out to a significant number of people. We posted it in the lobby of the admin building. We've had it listed at permits and codes at fire for contractors that come in there, they can pick it up. Was sent to all of our division heads and many of our staff, to include about 54 employees. For sale sign's been posted on the property with my contact number. Diane Becker's been sending it out in social media. It's been posted on the city website, posted in the Norfolk Daily News, sent to the Builders Association, Board of Realtors, the Chamber of Commerce, and letters were sent to neighbors and other interested parties that have either perhaps bid on other properties like we did the Oak Street deal last year, or that have called and asked to be put on our mailing list, and there's about 10 to 12 potential people that have got that letter as well. And we have 5 flyers here if anybody wants one. If there's any other questions about it, I think that's all I have.
Any questions? Lyle?
All right, appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Lyle, for your work on this. If anybody has questions moving forward, they should contact you directly? Correct. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 24 on your agendas, public hearings and related action. I will open this public hearing at the request of Nucor Steel to consider a zoning change from A, agricultural district to I2, heavy industrial district on 2 parcels of property, with the first parcel generally located half-mile east of the intersection of Victory Road and Nucor Road on the north side of the road, and the second parcel generally located on the northeast corner of the intersection at Victory Road and Northeast Industrial Highway. And I think to open the discussion on that, we hear from Val.
Yes. Thank you. Like you said, this is Nucor Steel-owned land with a request to change from ag to I2, which is what their zoning currently is out there for most of their land. If this proposed zoning change goes through, the I2 of tonight would be contiguous with the other I2 zoning out there. And the comp plan does have it as industrial designation. If there's any questions I can try to answer, or there is a Nucor representative here tonight if you have questions for him.
Any questions, comments, council? Any public commentary? Don't everybody rush up at the same time? No? Okay. If not, we'll hear a planning commission report.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 22nd, 2017, at the request of Nucor Steel to consider a zoning change from A, agricultural to I2, heavy industrial, on 2 parcels of property, with the first parcel generally located 1/2 mile east of the intersection of Victory Road and Nucor Road on the north side, and the second parcel generally located in the northeast corner of the intersection of Victory Road and Northeast Industrial Highway. The Planning Commission recommends approval on the request with an 8-0 vote.
Okay. Moving to item number 25, I look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5457, approving zoning change from A to I2 on 2 parcels of property. First, generally located half-mile east of the intersection of Victory Road, Nucor Road, and north side of the road, and the second parcel located in the northeast corner of the intersection of Victory Road, Northeast Industrial Highway.
Your Honor, I'd offer for consideration ordinance number 5457.
Okay. Any discussion, council? Seeing none. Short title, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5457 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5457 on second and third reading.
Okay. No discussion on that, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5457 carries on second and third.
Item number 26, I will open the public hearing to comply with provisions of NRS 18-1755 to acquire property at 1004 North Victory Road. And to open the discussion, we'll hear from Clint.
Mayor, City Council, I'll also, in this discussion, address 27, which is related to this, but Section 18-1755 requires public hearing before property is acquired. This is a situation where this is a property that is adjacent to Nord Park in the northeast part of town, and as is shown in item number 27, which is a purchase agreement related to this, the city was the recipient just before the end of the year. Wasn't Randy? It was right before the end of the year.
Yes.
Of $20,000, which was donated for the purpose of acquiring this property. And this property consists of, I think, a little bit more than a half acre adjacent to the existing Nord Park. And there's the with the donated property, we've got the purchase agreement that would go along with this, if you're so inclined here, that would allow the city to acquire that, do a lot boundary change to make that into one parcel. This property is being acquired from an existing residence there, and the owners of that property, where their house is now, had agreed with the party making the donation to sell that to them, and then they were going to give that property to the city. And so this is just kind of taking out the middleman, and they've given us the money, and we're supposed to go buy the property. So that's what the hearing is to be had to comply with state statute, and then after that you can consider the purchase agreement that they've already signed that's in the agenda packet. We'd go forward and get that completed. I do believe as well that I believe it's the Lions Club, Randy? Lions Club?
Right.
The Lions Club has donated some money for some improvements on that park, and so this will allow all of those things, which are some plans that have been out there for a while, to go forward to completion. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Excellent. Great, thank you. This is a public hearing. Any public commentary? Not? Discussion? Council?
Josh, I'd just like to express the gratitude of this gesture. It helps out the community over in that park. I was also involved when the Lions Club donated the playground equipment there. We put it together as a community. So the better we can make this park for that part of the neighborhood is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Appreciate the comments. Yeah, certainly a great partnership to improve upon and expand park in our community. Anyone else? If not, I'll close the public hearing and move to item number 27, consideration of approval of real estate purchase agreement wherein the city is purchasing property from Gregory L. Wendell and Teresa L. Wendell related to the expansion of Nord Park. Looking for a motion.
Move approval, Your Honor.
Second.
Okay. If no further discussion on that, ask for you to vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, moving to our regular agenda, item number 28. Looking for a motion to consider approval to award a contract to Houseman Construction for the library renovation and expansion project for an amount of $7,027,000, and for alternates number 2, number 3, and number 5 for the replacement of the east parking lot, additional landscaping, and the replacement of the upper roof respectively, for an amount of $141,000, and authorization for the mayor to sign any and all documents related to awarding the contract.
I'll make the motion, Your Honor. Second.
Honor, at this time, I will be abstaining from number 28 and 29.
All right, I think we look to Jessica to kick off discussion on this.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm very excited to bring this forward onto the agenda just to see the progress of the library renovation and expansion continuing. We did have, on December 5th, the council approved for us to advertise for bids for this project. We did that. We did receive 7 bids back, and we opened those on January 27th of this year. Hausman Construction was the low bidder by $175,000. And so we've worked with them, and the inclusion of the alternates there, number 2 is for the replacement of the east parking lot, and number 5 for the replacement of the upper roof. Those are both maintenance issues that are due to be redone, and so it makes to do them as part of this project rather than come back in a few years and need this work done. So we wanted to include those, and number 3 for the additional landscaping, all the input that we got was that extra landscaping was very much needed and important to the community, so we wanted to include that as well. I'll kind of talk about the next agenda item if that is okay, and that is immediately following the approval of this contract, if the council chooses to do so, is a change order with Hausman Construction. We wanted to get those alternates that are needed into the project, but we also want to stay on budget. So we worked with Hausman to find some ways to cut some costs into some of the construction so that we could come out of the project with the things that we needed, but still be on budget. So we found ways to reduce costs of ceiling tile grid and some other details that won't affect the comfort or usability of the building, but were able to keep us on point for the budget.
Thank you, Jessica. Any questions for Jessica?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Sir, good evening.
Hello, my name is Bruce Finley. I wanted to talk about the Norfolk Library and how the money will be collected, $7 million and some. I'm a believer in donations collecting this money, not in taxes collecting this money. And so I had a few questions I wanted to ask the City Council. Mr. Jackson, do you think the people who voted for you, do you think they are wise in how they spend their money? Do you think they would donate to this library if they believed it was a good deal?
I think it's all on how you would present it, as far as them donating. And it would be based upon whether they use the library.
Right, and so we come into this situation where the door of opportunity for people who say want to buy a computer is closed, and the door of opportunity for people who want to use a computer for entertainment purposes is open. I believe if the people are given a choice to spend the money, and you served as a mediator instead of a tax collector, you could present this idea to the people in such a way that they would donate for this, and taxes wouldn't have to be collected by force. Also, the people who have other opportunities and believe other charity organizations deserve this money more and will do more good with it would be able to donate to those charity organizations instead, opening the door of opportunity for competition. This is the sort of freedom that America was built on that helps people rise from poor to middle class and from middle class to wealthy. Mr. Clausen.
Hey, Bruce,
Yes.
this item, the agenda item we're discussing here is consideration of the contract to be awarded.
Right,
for
I don't
library.
believe the contract should be accepted. I believe the money should be left to the community in an untaxed way, taxes lowered, so that a fountain of wealth can be created, so that everyone gets to rise up
I
in a
would
free
add-
market economy.
The issue was presented to the community in a vote of the people in regards to a local option sales tax, which is funding partially the renovation and expansion of the library.
Right,
So the people did have a say in this discussion.
I believe if they had a say right now to donate the $7 million or not, many would not. There's no argument against that, of course, which is why I'm here talking about it now.
Our
Well, I
library,
wanted to
our
finish my
library
question.
board does work to help bring about any other venues of resources of support for the library, including private donations, foundation donations, things of that sort.
Yeah,
And
like
so
Andrew Carnegie did with the libraries. I used a library like that.
This project is a partnership of public resources, private donations, and also some state grant money that was sought for and obtained by the city.
I'm all for taxes collected to maintain property, public property. I am not for public tax collection to build said public things. I believe there should be opportunity for competition. I believe in freedom. You know, like I was going to ask Mr. Clausen, do you think the people who voted for you deserve the right to vote with their dollar, deserve the right to consent to this or not, whether or not they believe they can give the money to a charity organization that could spend it more wisely, or this? Do you think it has to be taxed by force?
The people that voted for me voted on this, and they voted in favor to initiate this, to collect the money to pay for the library.
They didn't all vote for that. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying.
the majority did vote, which I believe is also what America was founded on too, right?
Right, but you're
what are we
talking
talking
about spending tax money, taxed from people who don't want it. They're not being
Bruce,
represented.
You made a great speech. Your speech was elegant and well taken, and there was a vote by the people for this to be approved. It was approved, and our job as elected officials is when there is something voted on by the public, our job is to make sure those dollars and cents are spent appropriately, which we're doing right now by signing this contract. And then we'll be watching and making sure everything is spent appropriately. And when this is over with, it goes away. That's our job. That's all we can really talk about. We don't have any control of how the people vote on this topic. It was done by the people, the citizens of North Fork, not the council sitting here. Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, you can talk to us, but you gotta talk to the community. You should have been a proponent of very adamantly not in favor of this.
I went around talking to people door to door.
I admire that you had you went out and spoke your opinion on this, but obviously the other half won. The half that voted came out in force and voted in favor of it. So sometimes you just gotta take your lumps and you lost that battle. It's not saying you're gonna lose the next battle, so I'm just saying it's a done deal.
Of course, but you're talking about the "to the victor go the spoils" mentality that Andrew Jackson.
Well, the
talked
victor
about, that I
goes
was
the
not.
nice community center for our community. And this is gonna be a nice addition to our community, which a lot of people will take advantage of. And I think that's where people saw this action. It wasn't, they were gonna go out and spend these money on something that was just gonna help a few people in the community. This is for the community, to go out and have the resources so they can go and, if they don't have the access to computers, if they don't have the access to certain books, they can go to the library and get those resources. In fact, you should look at some of the new programs the library is doing. They've increased their capacity, and they're gonna increase their capacity more to service our community. So that's what people came out and voted for. And that's why they came out and voted for it.
Well, as a comparison, and this is a comparison that I think makes sense because you brought up the computers. You could probably buy 10,000 extremely high-tier quality computers and give them out to people. 10,000 for $7 million. Now, in terms of business creation,
Hold on a second. You
that's
wanna
a
help?
bad idea. That's a
would-
bad idea.
Would that help the entire community?
It would do more for the community, I think, than the library would, but I still think
That's only
that's a bad
10,000 people. We
decision.
have a community of 24,000 people.
I understand. And
the entire community
family-wise,
and
that would be
surrounding
enough for one
community will be
computer
able to
per
use
family per family.
Bruce, I think we got your point here. The fact of the matter is, this was a measure of direct democracy. It was brought to the people. You can't get any more direct than that. They approved a specific funding source for it. They agreed to say, we'll use part of our sales tax money
Right.
to bring about a benefit for the entire community. So I think we've run the gamut of discussion on this.
No, I have one more thing I need to say here. I don't think the government should have this kind of power. Now, you say direct democracy. Well, with direct democracy comes a lot of problems because then 51% vote away 49%'s rights or their money, how their money is spent, their right to vote with their dollar is taken away. That's not good. That's authoritarian. That's totalitarian. It's anti-freedom.
It's democracy.
Yes, it is democracy. I'd rather live in a republic where people decide how to spend their money. They vote with their dollar rather than the city council deciding.
There are some that you could probably go live there.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate that. Any further discussion among the council? Library contracts? If not, would ask for your vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, Councilmember Murin abstaining, motion carries.
And number 29, look for a motion to consider approval of change order number 1 with Houseman Construction for a library renovation expansion project resulting in a net decrease of $262,070.
I'll make the motion. Second?
Okay, any discussion on that? If not, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, Councilmember Murin abstaining, motion carries.
Okay, moving on to administrative reports. First, number 30, quarterly economic development update from Andy.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. One page, so I'll be brief tonight, but I got a lot of exciting stuff, so. No. Sorry, Rob. I tried extending it, but I mean, it can only.
Small type, isn't it?
No, good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and, I guess, update all of you on some of the exciting things we have going on in the community. Most of you have already read a lot of things that are going on, and certainly as Economic Development Director, I really appreciate the support the City Council's given our office and the great partnerships we've had, at least that I've discovered since I've been here. So we do appreciate the Mayor and Council's support on everything we're doing. But I'll begin with an update on OCT Pipe. That's probably the biggest one that we have. Charlie and his team were in town a few weeks ago to kind of give some of a progress report on some of their things they're trying to get going. Obviously, they've identified some things, you know, the community needs to work on, housing and really get some workforce things going, which I think housing will help with that on their end too. But certainly we're helping to facilitate their location here and making sure they have the resources and everything they need as they move forward. And we'll certainly keep you all updated as we're updated on how things are progressing on that front. Housing obviously is another big topic in Norfolk, and we're working diligently to expand some of the opportunities we have here in the area. The housing study identified a wide range of needs that we all know, and I think we have several potential developments that are out there now in kind of the pre-development process. And I know, as most of us know, there's a lot of risk involved in housing developments or any kind of development or building projects. So as they kind of weigh their risks and look at things, we'll hopefully see some things happening here. But we're really excited, and I hope to see some things, exciting things happen in 2017. Industry recruitment, expansion have been very productive. Our office continues to conduct business retention and expansion visits to hear from some of our local businesses and industries. Workforce continues to be a challenge for many employers, and we're working closely with the Chamber and our talent recruitment coordinator to develop strategies to get the message out there that there are jobs available in Norfolk, and that we do have resources available to help fill those jobs, and we are working on even more as we speak, some more really good strategies. And I have no doubt that housing is a big impact on workforce in Norfolk. So I think as we see one happen, the other one hopefully will be helped from that. And I'm very confident in some of the things we have going on. The Small Business Resource Team has been very busy with several local entrepreneurs. And I got to say that's probably one of the most exciting and fulfilling parts of my job is to see the ideas come in and we get the teams together to help identify some of their weaknesses and strengths and kind of really help them find a good model to start their business or expand an existing one. So there's a lot of excitement there. Redevelopment activities have been very busy, as the council has seen tonight, with the Delay building and some of the other ones we've had. And I think that a lot of these projects we have down the line, and some of those I can't really speak to tonight in specifics, but you'll see some of those come forward to really help dress up some of our major corridors and intersections we have here in Norfolk. So as those things move forward, I think we'll see a lot of really exciting things going on. And I'm really excited to see our downtown continue to become a true destination. There's a lot of interest in living and working downtown, And we're continuing to do all we can to support the activities of our business owners and merchants that are downtown and helping them, again, get the resources they need to help grow their businesses and provide offerings that they're working on. Also, on that note, earlier on tonight's agenda, on the consent agenda, you approved, or you gave staff the ability to work with RDG for the downtown redevelopment planning grant. So our office will be working really hard to get that going, so we can get a good plan put together this year and go on to the next phase and see some really more exciting things happen downtown. So that'll be a fantastic growth opportunity. And I want to touch on one thing, some regional cooperation. I think it's important to, Norfolk's kind of that central part of a larger area that we have in Madison County. And in particular, a couple of things that our office works on that I'll make note of. One of them is, of course, with housing. We're working with Elkhorn Rural Power District, NPPD, and some other organizations to really get housing in more of a regional format. So when people want to come to the Norfolk area, whether it's jobs in Norfolk or outside of Norfolk, and they want to have a house, we can connect them with realtors, builders, developers, and not only in Norfolk, but also in some of our communities around the area. And I think it's important to know that, as Norfolk grows and our region grows, these small towns, they're also going to need some help as they grow too. And I think it provides a lot of opportunities for them as well. So we're certainly helping to do what we can with that. And again, it's small business resources and growth and expansion. A lot of things going on, and certainly is it's an exciting time in Norfolk, and I'm glad to be part of the community, and it's been an exciting 7 months since I've been here. So I guess with that, I will again thank you all for your support, and if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Andy. Any questions for Andy? Great report. I think it's fair to say if even half of the proposals and projects that come across your desk come to fruition this year, it will be a year of significant new growth for the community. I think personally I've seen more interest in housing, retail, and redevelopment efforts in the last few months than I had in the previous 4 years, so things are really poised for new growth. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you to the Candaces in your office for all that you do in that regard. Number 31, 2016 Police Division Annual Report from Chief Meisner.
Your Honor, members of the council, on behalf of the men and women of the Norfolk Police Division, I'd like to present the 2016 Annual Police Report. It's pretty simple. It's contained within your packet. Just a brief overview. Our total calls for service saw a reduction of about 3.5% compared to the year 2015. Crime-related calls for service, that had about a 5.5% reduction, which was very nice to see. Our traffic-related complaints, those also had an almost 9% reduction over the previous year. The one thing I will point out, under traffic collisions, we did have 4 fatal traffic collisions during the course of the year. It had been several years since we'd had a fatal collision. We investigated them all. They're unfortunate things. Nothing that we saw in those fatal collisions were anything that we could deal with through selective enforcement, engineering, anything like that. They were just unfortunate incidents that happened there. On the enforcement side, on the criminal arrest portion of the arrests we had, we saw about just a little over 1% increase compared to the previous year. We saw about a 1.5% increase in alcohol violations. That would be DUIs and MIPs and open container minor in consumption, those types of violations. Under the juvenile side, we saw about an 18.5% increase in the number of juveniles that were arrested. That always is cause for concern, but we tend to see this fluctuate from year to year. Some years there seem to be more, other years there seem to be less. The one thing I would point out to you there, that One place that we saw a significant increase was in the possession of drugs. We saw a significant increase, 38 in 2015, 77 were arrested for drug possession in 2016. And so drugs remain a concern. There's certainly plenty of it out there, and our drug investigator and officers are staying very busy when we deal with that. But we hope we will see that go down in the following year. On the traffic enforcement side, overall, we saw about an 18.5% decrease in the number of enforcement actions. A number of factors can be involved in that. I think the primary factors where we saw a reduction in enforcement would be due to the fact that we replaced 4 vacant officer positions in this last year. In fact, we have 3 officers who will be graduating from the training center on March 24th. And then they'll be coming back and beginning their field training there. We also had 2 officers who had extended leaves due to medical issues. So for a large portion of the year, the patrol side was operating somewhat understaffed. Still, I think they did an outstanding job with what they had to deal with there. Overall, our arrests were, our total enforcement action was down about 14.2%, 14.29%. I think that the division was active. The division accomplished a lot. There's still a lot of things that we would like to do, and we will continue to focus and work on those. But we take pride in the fact that Norfolk is still one of the finest communities you could ever want to live in, raise a family in, work in, or just visit and have some fun. We get concerned when you have a little too much fun, because then we get involved in that area too. But if you want to come and just enjoy yourself, it's a great place to stop by and visit. That's it for the report. I'd be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Chief, on the drug increase,
Yes.
is that a particular substance that you noticed, or is it all across
There's
the
been
board?
several. We've seen an increase in the prevalence of methamphetamine. It had kind of cycled down for a few years. We see that it seems to be coming back. A lot of the drug arrests that we're seeing in the adults, and some with the minors, but not that much in the minors. The minors seem to be more marijuana than the methamphetamine. But we're seeing a lot of the adult drug arrests that we make. These are drug arrests that are made when they have been arrested for something else, and then when there's a search incidental to an arrest, or there's an inventory of the vehicle, we find some methamphetamine in there at that time. So it certainly indicates to us that we seem to have a lot of it coming back in place. We are beginning to see a little bit of marijuana coming from Colorado. And so I can't say exactly how much we're seeing that, but we have started to see that a little bit. Now, whether that is the opportunity to go there and obtain it, at least legally in Colorado, and then bringing it back with them, we haven't really been able to establish that for sure. But those are the 2 that seem to be the primary.
So, of that, it's 102%. Of that, is some of that stepped up enforcement on the division's part?
I won't say that it's stepped up enforcement. I would say that it is probably just the continuous enforcement that we have.
Okay.
Part of it will be the drug investigator working with the Snare Drug Task Force. If they identify an individual, if they can get some information, and then they can identify other individuals, that allows us to do that. But in many cases, it's the patrol officers out there who are either responding to a call for service, or they are making a traffic stop, and then while they're having contact with an individual, they were able to ascertain that they do have an illicit substance there, and then they proceed from that point.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I hear a lot of input from the community on what a fine job that you and the entire division does, and from my perspective, we certainly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that, and we appreciate your support. There's never been any doubt that our elected officials really support us in our efforts to make the community safer, so we appreciate that very much.
Any other questions or comments for Chief? Always great to hear about a 5.5% decrease in crime calls, so that's a great thing. And thank you, echoing Councilman Merrill's comments. Thank you for your daily commitment to keeping us safe.
Thank you.
Right. And nothing else on the agenda. That closes this meeting of the Norfolk City Council. Evening.